Hey guys, welcome to the Math Helper for Lesson 3. This one is all about turning math numerical expressions into word forms and word form back into numerical expressions and understanding order of operations. So let's jump right to it. I don't want to take too long on this. I want you to overthink it. Let's say we have a tape diagram represented by this here, and each one of these is 5. I could say then that 3 times, well, 1, 2, 3 groups of 5 would be my expression that I could turn this tape diagram into. And then we could also say that if I got rid of the 5, I could put pretty much anything here as represented by the letter A for anything. It's an indeterminate value. It doesn't matter. But basically I could say, well, if I have A here, if this is A, then I would have 3, right? 3 groups of A. So then, to further this concept, if I had something like 26 plus 4, that is an addition sign, 26 and 4, then I would have 3 of those, right? I would have 3 26 and 4s. If I had 26 and 4 here, and 26 and 4 here, and 26 and 4 here, I would have 3 26 and 4, but I would need to be careful about that and put parentheses around them. Parentheses are necessary because I want to make sure that I'm doing this before I multiply it by 3, right? Because that's what this tape diagram shows. I need 3 of this. I need 1 here and 1 here and 1 here. And so the parentheses are going to go ahead and make it so that that's done first, that's possible. Okay, that's why we do the parentheses. So let me do this one. 6 times the difference between 60 and 51. All right. Now, when I look at this, there's a couple of words that I'm noticing, and I want you to also notice them, and I want you to be careful when you're doing the reading on something like this. I see difference, and I see times, and both of these are two different processes. Difference is definitely going to be subtraction, whereas times is going to be multiplication. And when I'm going ahead and doing this, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm subtracting the difference between these two. That's what I'm subtracting. I'm subtracting the difference between these two. So that's telling me that I need to do these first. So if I'm doing those first, see, I'm not doing 6 times, it doesn't say 6 times 60, it says 6 times the difference. So if I'm doing these two first, then I'm going to go ahead and put those down here. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm doing that 6 times. So if I'm doing that 6 times, and I want to draw myself a really off-angled tape diagram, this would be 1, and I would need to do that 6 times, right? So if I want to split this up into 6, I'm going to draw 5 lines. 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have 6 different sections of 60 minus 51. And that, and so now I have myself an expression. So how could I write this expression out then in terms of numerical things? Well, in terms of numerical things, how could I write a numerical expression for this? Well, I'm doing my 6 minus 50, 60 minus 51, and I'm doing that 6 times. And the commutative property says that I could, if you had this, if you were thinking, Mr. Abbott, I was thinking this, well, both of those are the same. Any order on the commutative property is just fine and dandy, right? So let's try one more here. Let's try one more. I'm going to write something here. I have the sum of 2 12s and 4 3s. And once again, I'm noticing I see this sum, and that sum is telling me addition. And that's all I see in here. I don't see any other processes, but I know that there are other processes, because if you see I have 4 3s, that's telling me I have 4 groups of 3. And if I have 4 groups of 3, well, that's also 4 times 3. So what I have here is I have 4 times 3 right here. And over here I have two 12s, or 2 times 12. So I have those two. And I'm saying here I want the sum of this and this. And so that's why I have, this first and then this, and then I'm going to add those two in. And that's ultimately what I have here. If I wanted to take a look at some type of a tape diagram for this so that I could visualize this slightly better, I have two 12s. So I would have two 12s. And I would also have four 3s. So something like that, right? It looks pretty good. So now we can put these words into expressions. But we also want to be able to put expressions into word form. So let me take a look at this guy then. We have 8 times 43 subtract 13. All right, so taking a look at this, if you read this out loud, you would say 8 times 43 minus 13. And if you said that, well then that to me could sound like 8 times 43 minus 13. And if that's the case, then I would be multiplying these two first. But that's not the case. What these parentheses, right, are telling us is that we need to do this first. And so we have a way of saying that, right? We said if we're subtracting, we want to find the difference, right? So the difference is going to be the one that's going to help me make sure that I do that first. So what I could say would be I want to find I could do 8 times, right, because I'm at 8 times, the difference between 43 and 13. The words clearly tell us what to multiply and what to subtract, and that I need to subtract first and then I need to multiply. Let's try another one. 16, 9 times 4. So how can I write that out, and what do I need to do first? Well, as I look at this, I see that I need to do this section first, and in order for me to say that I need to do something first, I know I need to add, right, and I need to find the sum of. And saying the sum of this first is going to make sure I do that in the correct order. If I were just to say 16 times 9 times 4, then that's going to be a little bit different. That's not going to be the correct way to do that. Hang on, phone call. Okay, I'm back. So I know that I need to do this 16 times 9 first, and so what I'm going to do then is I want to make the sum of 16 and 9. So let's jot that down, the sum of 16 and 9, because that's the most important thing that I need to make sure that I'm doing first. And then I want to do all of that times 4, or I could do multiplied by 4. Ultimately, what I'm doing this is by saying the sum of is basically that saying you have to do that first, and that's what those words are telling me. So those words are going to be really important: the sum of and the difference of. I mean, I'm hoping that's it. Let's do a little bit of comparing just to make sure we're down. If I have something like this, the sum of 10 and 9 doubled. I like that. It's like doubled. Oh man. And then I also have, I'll put it down here, I also have 2 times 10. And I'm going to add 2 times 9. So if I got this guy up here and I got this guy down here, and I want to figure out, are they the same? Are they equal? Is one greater than the other one? So this down here is something that I can wrap my mind around. It's pretty easy. I got this. I want to see if I put this one up here into a numerical expression, what's that going to look like? So I have the sum of, okay, so I know that that sum of is something, hey, guess what, buddy? I need to be adding the sum of 10 and 9. Okay. And then whatever it is, it's going to be doubled. So let's just try that out. I got the sum of, I got 10 and, oh, no, sir. No, sir. I have the sum of. It's the sum of 10 and 9, right? And ultimately, what am I doing? Well, I'm multiplying that by 2. And well, if I'm doing each one of those multiplied by 2, I could just do 10 times 2, right? I can rewrite this expression because I know my properties. And I could also do 9 times 2. And ultimately, then it's the same thing, isn't it? I could do this also. I could draw myself a little diagram. Here's my tape diagram. And I know I have the sum of 10 and 9 doubled. Okay, so doubled. I could even say I have 10 and 9. And I have 10 and 9. And down here, I could say, well, I have 2 10s, and I have 2 9s. And wouldn't you know it, look, I got a 10 and a 10, and I got a 10 and a 10, and I got a 9 and a 9, and I got a 9 and a 9. So yes, these are equal, okay? So, you know what, ladies and germs, here's the whole big shenanigans behind this whole thing that I want you to really just understand, is that when you're looking at a numerical expression, you have to understand, obviously, which ones you're doing first. And if you're putting those that you're doing, if you're putting the things that you're doing first into word form, well, then you need to somehow use your words, drawing pictures here, use your words to say, this is what I'm doing first. And so some of those things we've said, you know, are the difference of, or the sum of, or difference between, excuse me. These are going to be your keywords. These are going to be your indicators that are saying, hey, here's what I got to do first, okay? So try that out. Do your best. Like I said, don't oversimplify or don't overcomplicate things. Simplify these things. Just think about it. Try it out. Do your best. But make sure you're doing the work, okay? It's all about doing the work. You can't just sit there and be like, I don't get it, and throw it aside, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's still there. So face it. Do it. Kick some butt, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.